Okay, so we'll continue. So we were in the last clause of part number 1, schedule 1, which is for CA in practice. Okay, so what is your clause number 12? Then we will have a recap of all the clauses. So clause number 12 says that a CA in practice is deemed to be guilty in professional misconduct if he allows a person not being a member of the institute in practice or member but not being his partner to sign on his behalf or on behalf of any firm, any balance sheet, profit and loss account or report of the financial statement. That means signature should be done by himself or his partner. That's it. His employee, even though he is a full-time employee, he is a member holding COP, no, not permitted. In his office, either he should be signing it or he should authorize any partner. So, okay, there can be, what if a partner is a lawyer in an LLB? That's why not being a member of the institute. That means if he is not an institute member, he should not signing it. So he should be a CA in practice, and that should be not just CA in practice, and that should be a partner. Then only you can permit someone else to sign. Okay, only member should sign or his partner can sign. So you cannot permit anyone else to sign. So the financial statement, okay, this is the last one. So cover an examination of the accounts. A report, however, may cover wide range of documents, but in the context in which it is used, this clause, it would mean that only report arising out of the professional assignment submitted to him or his firm to the clients. Subject matter of the report is an expression of professional opinion. Now, in short, simple terms, you cannot permit anybody else to sign on your behalf. Either you have to sign or any other practicing member who is your partner only can sign. Just because somebody is practicing CA, no. Or somebody is into full-time employment and that person is your partner, that is also no. Somebody, you have got an employee and employee is having COP, that is also not permitted. So either you or your partner. Then people started to ask a lot of questions to the ICI. Sir, should we sign everything now? You said what? Should not allow a person to, not being a partner, to sign balance sheet, profit and loss account, report or financial statement. See, up to this is understood that you should not balance sheet, profit and loss account. This the partner has to sign, agreed. Financial statements also understood, but you said something called a report. Now, report can take different forms. One, your financial statement report. That means your auditor's report on the financial statement. We understood. Auditor only have to sign. But there can be different type of reports we prepare. So is it required that everywhere we have to sign, the partner only have to sign? Okay, so this confusion came. That's why a report may cover wide range of documents. A report is what? All you gather the information and you prepare one report. Report is collection of informations. Now, if that report is related to the audit of financial statement, yes, auditor only have to sign. But what about other reports which is created? Because you said here reports to be signed. So to clarify it, ICA came with the guidelines, and ICA Council guideline says that the power to sign off documents on which professional opinion is not required, yes, that can be delegated. So if you are not expressing in any like certificates you are issuing, where you only have to sign it, or you are issuing any sort of reports where your opinion is being expressed, then you cannot delegate it. But other than that, you can delegate. For example, like audit queries during the course of audit. Like you may issue some audit queries to your client, like explain these issues. Now that is also a report actually, but is it required CA has to sign it? No, any employee can sign it. See, asking information or issuing of the questionnaire also can be done. Letter forwarding draft observations on the financial statements, intimation and stamping of the vouchers or schedules prepared for the purpose of audit, initiating and stamping of the vouchers. Okay, so you may initiate some vouchers, stamp the vouchers and schedules which is required for the audit, carrying on the routine correspondence with the client, and memorandum of cash verification. That is when the physical verification of the cash happens. One document is prepared, say they will say 500 rupees notice, so much, this is the total, and both will sign. Now, is it required to be, this is a report, is it required to be signed by the CA? No, my senior employee can sign it. Any correspondence is done, that is also communications, okay, my employee can sign it. Vouchers or schedules. Suppose you have prepared some schedules for as a working paper. Now working papers also can be signed by my employees. So these are all the places. Okay, acknowledgement for the record received, record produced. So client will give you one statement. Okay, submitted, bank statement, this. So they'll give you the list. Yes, I can sign one acknowledgement. Raising of the bills and acknowledging for the money received, attending routine tax matters, and any other matter incidental to the office administration. So they can ask you one question revolving any of these. So you have to tell that, okay, since it is covered by these are all the exemptions, it is not required that a CA in practice only have to sign it. Yes, let us see some of the question how they can ask you. Now, chartered accountant has given power of attorney to an employee chartered accountant because he is also a chartered accountant to sign the reports. No, not permitted. You cannot permit. Then you have to tell about clause number 12. So you cannot allow any non-member because that can be, he can be a partner in an LLP or anybody who is other than your partner. Okay, that partner should be seen in practice, should sign the financial statements. Some exemptions are given. You can talk about that exemptions. So he is guilty of professional misconduct because you cannot give power of authority, okay, power of attorney to the anybody to sign. Power of attorney is possible if you want to sell your land. Okay, legal power of attorney. But here, such type of power of attorneys are not going to work for you. Smart, all these questions have come because of somebody must have done this in the past. A chartered accountant was on Europe tour and he received a message that from one of his clients requesting for stock certificate because banker has to be produced. He will not come by 25th, but 20th he require now. Now, due to urgency, CA Smart assisted his director, who is also a chartered accountant, to sign and issue one stock certificate. Is it justified? No. As part of clause 12, he cannot permit. So, there is a guilty of professional misconduct because it will not fall. The stock certificate do not fall under any of the exemptions. It is not an office administrative related one. Your expression of the opinion is involved. So, you can write, you can articulate an answer accordingly. Yes, let us see, is there any other questions? A practicing CA working as a proprietor, he went abroad for 3 months and delegated certain authority to Mr. Y, chartered accountant, his employee, to take care of the routine matter. During his absence, he conducted below mentioned jobs. One, he issued audit queries to the client raised during the course of audit. Is he permitted to do? Yes, absolutely, because council has issued the guidelines or given the clarifications. He issued a production certificate to the client under GST Act. No. Production certificate, maybe he is expressing opinion, like what is the quantity of production. It's like a certificate. Factual findings he is telling. He attended income tax proceedings that is authorized. He issued a net worth certificate, attended GST proceedings, issued a stock certificate. Please comment on the eligibility of why conducting such jobs. Now you talk about clause number 12. I say clarifications you are going to tell that certain issue type of jobs can be delegated. Yes. So now audit query. Yes, he is right. No misconduct. CA guilty of professional misconduct because production certificate is not a routine work. It requires an expression of the opinion. So not permitted. The council has allocated delegation for attending that income tax matter. So no misconduct. In the fourth case, he issued a net worth certificate. Yes, he is guilty because net worth certificate he cannot issue. It is not a routine matter. He attended GST, no misconduct. But in the last case, he issued stock certificate. He is guilty of misconduct, not permitted. So you know the how to answer now. Very easy. So now again, one more partner was there. He went to 4 months. He delegated authority to another CA. Now he asked for information, yes, permitted. Stamping and schedules prepared, yes, permitted. Acknowledging for the routine correspondence, that is also permitted. In the given case, there is no misconduct because all the things have been permitted only. Similarly, issue of audit queries, issue of questionnaires, memorandum of cost verification, draft observations, acknowledgement for the records produced, raising of the bills, initiating financial statement, no. So is this correct? So in all the cases, okay, you can write about the answer. In the first 7 cases, there is no misconduct. But the second, last one, sealing of the financial statement is wrong. So he will be guilty for that last authority given to his employee to sign the financial statement. So he gave a power of attorney. Okay, we already discussed illustration 23. Illustration 24 also we have discussed. Yes. So I hope students, with this you are very clear. So if we have to have a recap, it is very easy to remember. I told you. Clause number first, 1, someone will set up office, but do not allow anybody else to practice. See, it is different from signature. Here, you have sold your COP to someone else. Someone else is practicing in your name. No, you cannot sell such COP. Second, paying commission to get the client. Not permitted except few. Receiving commission, that is also not permitted. Partnership you do then. Or you try to buy other avenues like personal canvassing, calling, telling employees. No, nothing. None of the work is permitted. You have to just deliver your job. Then you started to do solicitation. And then you started to do designation, different designations. Yes, after doing all this activity, which is within permitted level, certain things have been permitted. Okay, now at the 8th stage, you got a client. So you communicated with the previous auditor. You check your performance, check whether your appointment is proper. Okay, you communicated, is there any professional reasons? There are 3 professional reasons. Now the time has come to fix the fees. 1 minute. Is it, clause number 11 was fees? Yes. Charging of the fees. Yes. Clause number 10, you fix the percentage of fees. And okay, none of the things work because no more clients came to you. You started to do the business. General permission, special permission. And 12, you have a permitted to someone to sign on your behalf, for which the work was allotted to you. Okay, so these are all the places, are the 12 clauses where you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Yes, I hope students you are very clear with all the 12 clauses. Yes, any part, any doubts you have, you can ask. Yes, now you see, other part is very simple. Now part 2 of this first schedule, it is for the member in service, like when you go in for employment, or a person like okay, me, no, not me, because I am not in service. Anybody who is into service, who is into employment. Okay, it's also very easy to remember. First of all, see, since you have got an employment, you don't have your own office, correct? You will be working in somebody's office. So whatever is applicable to a practicing CA, clause number 1 is not applicable. What is clause number 2? Paying commission. Same thing applicable. That becomes clause number 1. So a CA in practice is deemed to be, CA in service is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he pays or allows, agrees to pay directly or indirectly any share in the emoluments of the employment undertaken by him. That means do not pay bribe to get the job. You get the job out of your own capability, but don't try to pay some bribe to someone to get the job, which is very similar to don't pay commission to get the work, get the clients. So if you are found to be a member or an employee of the company, should not pay any share of the income directly to anyone else. That means you should not be paying. That means being a CA, once you become CA, you are bound by this. If it is found that you have paid someone as a bribe, that monthly you will pay so much, then that becomes professional misconduct. However, this does not restrict your sharing of the commitments among relatives. Like parents, you cannot show this to the parents. No, look, my what's that called? Institute is permitting me not to share my income with anyone because tomorrow they can hold me professional misconduct and all. So need not tell you to your parents, because you can share with your parents, dependents, friends, if there is no relationship in procuring the job. Okay, because if you cannot show it as if there is any relationship is found, you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Yes, done. Now similarly, just like what is your clause number 3 for practicing CA? Just like you cannot pay, you cannot receive also. So here also clause number 2, you should not accept or agree to accept any fees, profits, gains from a lawyer, chartered accountant, broker, firm, agent, customer of such company, by way of commission or gratification. No bribe. Don't take any bribe. Just like you cannot give bribe to secure the job. Working with someone, say tomorrow you come to know that there is one requirement of for a CA. You are working with one company now. Okay, you are working in MRPL. MRPL require one CA or a lawyer. Now you tell sir, we can always share the fees and collect the money from reference fees we can collect, no? No, you cannot tell, okay, you have got one friend or someone known, CA or lawyer. You tell him, look, our company requires one lawyer or a CA. I will see to it that you will get this job. But a 10% of this profit you should pay me. No, you should not be doing this. Okay, you should not be receiving any commission or gratification from the company, firm, or whoever appoints you, person, agent, from any third party. You should not be receiving. Customer of such company, firm, or person. Okay, so that means you should not be receiving any gratification or a bribe. Now, a member in foregoing circumstances would be guilty regardless of the fact whether he was in full-time employment or part-time employment or holding certificate of practice along with the employment. We have already seen that. You can hold the COP. But see, when you hold COP plus you are into employment, which employment? Full-time employment, the COP becomes dormant. So if you take a bribe, you will be responsible under clause number 2, part 1, part 2 of the first schedule. What if you are in part-time employment holding COP? Still, you see, what is the logic of this particular thing? Please understand, the moment you understand the logic, you will be much more clear. What is the logic of this? See, they want to show that, look, ICCA can secure the job on its own. It doesn't need to pay a bribe. That is our credibility. And if you start paying bribe for getting the job, like government jobs, you may have to pay the bribe. Then people start to think, what is this? If despite after spending so many years, if I have to pay a bribe to get a job, then I can get a job otherwise also. No? Why I should become a CA? People can see. That's why they said no, because this shows high integrity. Second, they show that you have to become loyal to your employer. Just like you are loyal to your client. So that employer will get a trust. And tomorrow they will hire more and more CAs only. I'm telling you students, my own experience. You see, I can tell you because I don't know. I worked only in Vedanta. Every year in Vedanta, at least 20 to 25 CAs were appointed. But in my entire 10 years of career, I could see only some 2 company secretaries were appointed. And later part of my life, I saw that around 20 CMAs were appointed. CMA. This is what I saw. And see, BCom and all happens every year. BCom graduates, so very happens every year. See, out of this, no, when we are appointed, we are into management category level 6. We are called M6 category. Now, these CA and CMAs were in M7 category. And BCom graduates were in M9 category. Now, on the day one only, the day they join, any CS or CMA will join our organization, they will get very frustrated. Because they see that there is a CA who is, in the eyes of law, is equal to CS and CMA, but there is a different treatment is given in the office. That means then it will take another 3 years to become M6. By that time you have become M6, this person will become M5. That means you will never be able to beat. That's why they don't stay. They get very frustrated by looking at this discrimination. But this is how the society is perceiving, for your information. Okay. And why? Because we are upholding that trust. Why they are appointing? Why they are paying more money? Because they are trusting. Trusting for the qualification, trusting for the skills. This is what they want to uphold. That look, you should not accept any bribe. Yes, a CA holds a certificate of practice. While employment also recommends a particular lawyer, and lawyer out of the professional fees paid some referral fees. Now you may say, sir, have we not been told clause number 3, is it not permitting a CA in practice to share the recommendation to a lawyer? Yes, but which one? Client related, not employer related. So if you become a part-time employee or full-time employee, and if you refer, it will amount to like a bribe. You are permitted to you get the referral fees only for a client, not for an employer. Are you clear about this point? Otherwise, they will try to catch you in the exam by putting this type of thing. Yes. So, clause number 2, part 2 of the first schedule you will refer and say you is guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, let's see. Is there any more question? CAF is the CFO of one insurance company. The company gets majority of the clients through their agency contract, and CAF has the practice of releasing the commission payments for the condition he gets 20% out of the agent. No, as per clause 2, part 2, first schedule, he is not supposed to do it. He is guilty of professional misconduct because he is an employee, being a CA. He holds a certificate of profit. Okay, this we have already seen, illustration number 2. Only one question or two questions you can expect. Now, part 3, CA professional misconduct in relation to members generally. That means everyone. It includes everyone. Like, see, primarily who is in service. Service means anybody. Now, CA in practice, CA in service. Everybody it applies. Or you are not, you are simply sitting at home. Okay, that is everybody, this becomes applicable. Which one? Part 3. Professional misconduct in relation for everyone. A CA in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if not being the fellow, acts like a fellow of the institute. If you are an ACA, but you tell that you are an FCA, you will be guilty of professional misconduct. So this can be anybody, a practicing CA or a non-practicing CA. That's it. Done. See, there is no questions on this. No explanation also required because people understood it. Second, does not supply the information called for or does not complement with the requirement of the institute. Suppose institute asks you any information, you don't supply that information, or any council or any requirements of the council, guidelines, committees, directorate, discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board or appellate authority, if they are going to ask you some information or if they tell you something and you don't comply, so you will be guilty under clause number 2 of part 3 of the first schedule. So, part 2, we have got only two things. Part 2, we have got only no bribe to be paid, no bribe to be received. That's it. Very easy. For employee, only two things, which we will talk only about the bribe. For generally everyone, one, don't tell yourself as an FCA. Second, whenever institute asks any information, you please give that information. It's not just institute, it may be any board, disciplinary committee, anybody who have not disclosed to the institute that he was engaged as a proprietor of a non-chartered accountant firm. Okay, so that means, see, clause number 11 says that if you are into business, you have to get a permission from the institute. So this guy was engaged as a proprietor of a non-chartered accountant firm. Means he was running some business. Institute asked him, give me that information. He didn't give. While holding the COP and not furnished the particulars of his engagement as a director of a company, despite various letters, again remained unreplied. So when you didn't supply the information, you will be guilty under clause number 11. Part 1, okay, because your business related question, because you are engaged into some other business without permission, and clause number 3, part 3 of the first schedule. Okay, because you didn't give the information to the company. Okay, he was guilty under clause 11 of part 1, clause 1 and 3 of part 3. Clause 1 is what? No, he didn't actually, it should have been 2. Okay, why they have told 3, I'm not sure. No, okay, you may have to make a small change here, I think. Yeah, it is clause number 2 of part 3 of the first schedule. Okay, where you continue to train your article clerk, though the name was removed from the membership. So someone lost their membership, but still they are treating, they are playing with the life of the article student. Failed to send any reply to the institute when it was asked. Okay, how he was training his articles and he didn't tell. So he was also guilty under clause number 2 of part 3 of the first schedule. So if you don't give any information, whichever is asked, not only by the institute, but any of the committees of the institute, you will be guilty. Now, G, while applying for COP, did not fill the columns which information about the engagement in other occupation. See, there is one, when you are applying for COP, there will be one column. So many places will be there in the application form. In one place, if they asked, are you engaged into any other business? And this person left it blank. He didn't say yes also, he didn't say no also. Now, this will also amount, and later if it was found that he was involved in some work, like the previous case, he will be guilty of misconduct under this clause because he didn't give the information. So, as per clause 2, he was supposed to give the information. While applying for COP, he left certain data blank. Details of the engagement need to be filled. Okay, so he will be guilty under professional misconduct under clause number 2. Now, chartered accountant appoints a paid assistant with the service of the firm, leaves the service of, okay, chartered accountant employed as a paid assistant. That means you have into an employment. Leaves the services from 31st December. Despite many reminders, he doesn't reply to the ICA. So when ICA sends you reply, ask you a question, please reply immediately. Otherwise, they will take action. So again, he has failed to supply the information, guilty of professional misconduct. A firm is having relationship with the multinational accounting firm in India, an Indian firm. Now, ICA required that all the networking relationship has to be given, furnished online within the stipulated time. But this particular firm failed to respond. They didn't give the information only within time. Yes, they will also be guilty under professional misconduct. Yes. So, is there any more questions on this clause? XYZ is an employed as a paid assistant. We have seen. Anita joined as an audit executive in a CA firm. Multiple reminders. She failed to respond. Yes. So, will be guilty. G applying COP. Yes. Illustration 26 we have seen. A Rohan, a practicing CA, is an associate member of the institute, but he started using the designation FCA. Yes. Clause number 1. During scrutiny, ICA sought some clarification and appealed unrelated to his professional practice regarding some activity. That means he must have been engaged in this business. Despite multiple letters, he didn't provide the information. See, students, this MTP question is based on this example. Now, let us see which clause they have used. Okay. So, for the first one, he told FCA, this is clause number 1. This was missing there in the previous question. Clause number 2, so many questions where nothing was answered. And you are seen to be into some business, clause number 11 of part 1. Arjun, another partner whose name has been removed from the register of the members of the institute, continued to train the assistant, okay, and failed to respond to the institute, clause number 2. Okay, so first you are going to talk about clause number 1, clause number 2, and clause number 11. So he called himself as an FCA, guilty of professional misconduct and failed to give. Arjun is also failed to respond. Rohan will be guilty under clause 1, 2 of part 3 of the first schedule, whereas Arjun is guilty of professional misconduct under clause 2, part 3 of the first schedule. Okay, so including getting engaged in other business, clause number 11, they have not mentioned. It is your choice. You can also mention it because without permission, because you can make an assumption that other regarding activities unrelated to the professional practice. So you can assume that this must be some other business. So clause 11 also you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Yeah, but nice question. Yeah, you can mark it as a priority question because of that some differences. Yes. Now, the clause number 3, while inviting the professional work from another chartered accountant, because are you permitted to talk to another chartered accountant? Yes. Clause number 6 has permitted. Or while responding to the tenders, can you apply to the tenders? Yes. If in case of statutory exclusive area, minimum fees should be there. Non-exclusive area, you can simply respond. All while advertising through a write-up, clause number 7. Anything provided for in clause 6 or 7 gives false information. Okay, that means everyone, okay, whenever you are working, like this is applicable for everyone, do not give false information about the clients, false information about your experience. So any member of the institute in course of professional work, that means again in your resume also, don't tell something false, provides any information known to be false, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. In your resumes and profiles, you're not supposed to tell something wrong. So very easy to remember, I believe. Clause number 1, FCA. Clause number 2, not giving information to the ICI. Third, making misleading advertisements, fooling others. And fourth, other misconduct. A member of the institute, whether in practice or not, because this is applicable for everyone, this is not connected with your work, deemed to be guilty if he is held guilty by civil or criminal court with the offense which is punishable for imprisonment not exceeding 6 months, like check forgery, check like what is it called, check bounce. Okay, so if a check is going to be bounced, 3 months imprisonment will be there. So you will be 3 months or 6 months, whatever, depending upon Negotiable Instrument Act. Yes, you will be imprisoned for a 3 months, then you will be guilty of other misconduct under part number 4. So it can be any reason. Okay, so you must have slapped someone. That person must have put some complaint against you. Yes, that is also applicable. It may not be related. That's why we call it as other conduct, not professional misconduct. Other misconduct. And now clause number 2, in the opinion, you are bringing disrepute to the profession or the institute as a result of action, whether or related to the professional work or not. To give one small example, student, during Corona time, I saw there was one viral video. There was one doctor who went to say Super Bazaar to buy, and the employee told him to wear the mask. The doctor scolded him, and this was getting recorded in the CCTV. A big fight happened. Now, see what we said. If he was not a doctor, okay, different story. Now the entire become very sensational news because being a doctor who should have educated others to wear the mask, he himself is not wearing the mask. Now, is it not one disrepute to the profession of medicine? Okay, one doctor is behaving like that. One doctor drank and went to the workplace. You see, these also matters are reporting. These are all the things brings disrepute to the profession. So tomorrow, in any way, if it is felt that you have brought a disrepute, like you got caught in some theft, or any other thing, because your name will not come. A chartered accountant was caught in theft, so you are bringing disrepute. So whether it is connected to our profession, not connected to our profession, they can take an action against you under clause number 2. Yes. Like YKS is a firm, was appointed as a concurrent auditor, used his influence to get a loan, and after failed to repay the loan. Yes, this is considered as a disrepute to the profession. You should not be using such influences to get a loan and all. You should have high integrity, high standards of integrity. Personal affairs should be very good. You will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clauses 1 and 2 are self-explanatory. Any member will be found guilty of similar criminal or civil proceedings. Moral turpitude, acts being disrepute, irrespective whether it is related to profession or not, he will be guilty. Like CA in practice evaded a loan, he issued two checks about the repayment of the loan, and checks were returned insufficient funds. Okay, this is Negotiable Instrument Act. This is an offense. Guilty of other misconduct, offense under Negotiable Instrument Act. But if it is a reason called a refer to drawer, and then need not be. Why? Because this can be signature mismatch. But if it is insufficient fund, that means check has got bounced. Professional misconduct. Now, Preto CA had an account with the bank. Normal balance was 5,000 rupees. Somewhere the bank credited 2,70,000 rupees. Somebody sells money. Now, what this CA did, another person's account got credited to your account. Immediately, CA Preto went, withdraw every money and close the bank. Now, after 1 year, because that poor customer didn't knew, after 1 year that customer came and asked, sir, where is my 2,70,000? Then bank realized that this was wrongly credited to somebody else. But CA contested this claim. They said that I am not going to pay. Now, bank became very angry. They said we will complain to ICA if you do this. So ICA disciplinary action. Okay, is they guilty? Yes, they are guilty. Now Preto may ask, sir, tell me what I did. Now ICA will tell, look Baba, under your clause number 4, you have brought a disrepute to the profession. Under your part 4. See, you are not convicted, but in your clause number 2, you have brought a disrepute to our profession. because as a CA, it was not expected from you this type of things. You should have held high degree of integrity. CA Kumar, contesting for Central Council elections, engaged the article assistant for election campaign. Yes, guilty of other misconduct. Article students joined you for getting audit experience. You are trying to tell them bring vegetables, drive my car, and call the people and tell them to give vote to me. See, this type of things are not expected to be done by using your article students. Guilty of professional misconduct. CA in practice elected as a treasurer in the regional council and organized one international tour. Now, when you appoint for a tour, so many members will come. So what he must have told to the tour operator, he found that he received some personal benefits of 40,000 from the tour operator. So tour operator gave him, Papa, so you gave me some 40 members no, for international tour. So I must have collected 50 lakh rupees. So I'll give you some benefits. And 40,000 bribe he gave. Means gratitude. Yes, he is also guilty because he brought disrepute by doing this type of things. So anywhere you don't meet the standards of integrity, you are not honest. You see, all these cases where someone was dishonest, which is not connected to their profession, is they were held guilty of the professional misconduct. Okay, Central Council elections we have seen already. Chetan involved in a family dispute over ancestral property. See, this was their very personal. Some family dispute was there. Now he forged the will of his uncle and he presented it as a genuine document. In Birla's family only it happened. Whether no forgery or what different, I don't know. But in Birla's family, when that Birla somebody died, entire property he gave to his chartered accountant. Now you see that. Now they complain how they can give to chartered accountant. How his chartered accountant is connected. He may be a friend, but how he can give entire 5,000 crore rupees worth of property to him? And they contested. Okay, and it's not a forgery case and all, but I just remembered the forgery was uncovered and legal action was initiated. Although the act committed in his personal capacity, a complaint was filed with the institute. And what institute should supposed to do? So now you should say it is part number 4, first schedule, and clause number 1, because he was guilty of he was guilty of other misconduct. So since he was okay, and he has brought disrepute also. Okay, because it was forgery was uncovered and legal action was initiated, so you can make an assumption that he was imprisoned for less than 6 months for this type of work for forgery, and he has brought a disrepute also. So he will be guilty under clause number 1 and 2 of part 4 of first schedule. Proprietor firm was appointed to conduct the concurrent audit. He used to influence the get the loan. We have seen this. Yes. Yes, friends. Very big clause we have completed. Clause up to part 1 of the first schedule. So, part 1 of the first schedule, to have a recap, I have got first schedule. We have got 4. Part 1 talks about 12 clause for CA in practice. Part 2 talks about 2 clause for CA in service. Part 3 is for general, for everyone, talks to 2 clause, members in general. Okay, FCA, and what was that? We had an FCA. False information, 3 clause, sorry, I'm sorry. So you'll have a 3 clause, not giving information to ICI and misleading information for the people. And clause 4, you have got 2 clause. One, your imprisonment for less than 6 months, and this is for all. And second one, you have brought disrepute to the institute. Yes, with the practice students, I hope you will be able to do it. You can, and I told you how to remember also. It's very easy. Okay, so this is one thing you need to remember: FCA, then no information to ICI, false information to others. Now you may ask me, sir, what if the false information is given to ICI? For this, second schedule is there. Follow, no? Okay. So now we will move on to the schedule number 2, which is more dangerous, because till now none of the work clause was related to the work done, like how much someone should be doing this job, what type of what seriousness they should bring. Second schedule is very dangerous because it is handled by the disciplinary committee, a specialist committee, I told you, and they can remove your membership for life. Okay, second schedule also has got parts. Let us see all the parts. Okay, how many parts are there, what all the things have been put. Now, second schedule, first part, just like first schedule, first part starts with the CA in practice. This is also professional misconduct in related to CA in practice. And we don't have CA in service here. Yeah, because you cannot tell how a service has to be done by a service, by a CA in service. If their service is not good, employer will throw them out. But for a CA in practice, we are going to suggest. Okay, very first, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if you don't maintain confidentiality. If you disclose any information in the course of professional engagement to any person other than to his client, without the consent of the client or otherwise required by the law for time being in force. So already we have seen, students, in the fundamental principles, we have already learnt about the confidentiality. Same things are covered here. So you have to maintain the confidentiality. You are not supposed to disclose the information. Yes, but under certain circumstances, you can disclose it. Already we have seen that. Same provisions we are going to disclose. Now, if the disclosure is required as part of the performance of the professional duty, the fact that such performance is required by the client would amount to disclosing. Thus, okay, what they are trying to tell. Okay, one question will come to, because some people asked, sir, I was hired by the organization, so this is my client. They hired me to give some information to the customs department, to fetch the report and give to the customs department. Okay. Now what I did, my appointment was to give the information. So from their computer system, I extracted the data and I filed the data with the customs department. Understood now here? Please understand the catch. So you are appointed for what reason? Like for GST return or some customs return. So what this practicing CA did, he extracted the data from the client's database, prepared that return, and he filed the return with the department. But actually, this person was not aware that there were some fake invoices. Now, client and custom department found it, because when they cross-verified, they found that this was fake. They initiated action against the client. Now, client became very angry. Client told this accountant, who told you to file this data with the client? You should have asked my permission, right? Now, chartered accountant told, look, Baba, why you appointed me? You appointed me for the GST returns only. And this was the procedure we agreed. So, I have submitted based on the legal records only. Now, tell me, is there a breach of confidentiality? No. This is what they say. If the disclosure is required as part of the performance, now you have to disclose it because that's the way you have to performance of a professional duty. The fact that such performance is required by the client, the very fact that the client appointed you for that task itself is the consent of the client. Again, you need not go and ask, sir, shall I send this to the income tax department? Shall I send it to the GST department? Not required. Every time you need not ask them. If they have appointed you to submit some information to the department, you can send it, you need not ask the client's permission. Thus, a member submitting information to the Exchange Control Authority, Forex, while performing his duty cannot be considered to have done this without the consent of the client. Okay, so they can ask you one question, so you may have to write this para, because if they told confidentiality issue comes, you have to write clause number 1 and you may have to write about this para. However, if disclosure is required, you need to obtain the consent. But whose consent I should obtain? Who is competent? So they can ask you one question based on this para. Okay, now it depends upon the circumstance. In case of a sole trader concern, either the proprietor should permit or his power of attorney holder should permit. Okay, please note down this particular para. because they can ask you one question that power of attorney holder permitted, but later the client objected. No. So in case of a sole trading concern, a proprietor can give a consent or a power of attorney holder can give a consent. In case of partnership firm, any of the partner can give, because they are mutual agency relationship. Act by one is act by all. So any one partner can consent to. In case of company, only the board of directors should consent by giving one resolution, passing one board resolution. So they have to convey the meeting, and maybe beforehand only they should tell you at the entire year, because for every time I need not go and ask the board of directors, no, should I send this, should I give this? So board should have given you that overall authority. Okay. Okay. This is the board of authority. Okay. Can a managing director authorize you to give the consent? No. Managing director cannot give, because managing director is not a board. He is not my client. He is the management. However, if board of directors are given an authority to him, if they are delegated, because proprietor could have delegated his authority to the power of attorney, board could have delegated this authority. That's why you have to check through a board resolution, is managing director has an authority to give me consent for communication. Otherwise tomorrow you become responsible. Okay, if they are not delegated, you should obtain by board resolution only. Very nice point. They can ask you in the examination question. They can easily frame a question based on this by telling one story. So in that case, you have to write about clause number 2. This is not required because it is not a disclosure as part. Second, whose consent is required? You have to write this para, and then you have to tell, okay, in the given case, so and so, so and so. Now, auditor, should he provide the working papers? No, auditor is not required to provide the audit working papers because that is his property. Now, the main auditors do not have the right to access the working papers of the branch auditors. They have to only consider the report and they can visit the branch. Okay, already in SA 600 we have seen that. Auditor can send one questionnaire and branch auditor has got a right to reply, has an obligation to reply. And this purpose, internal auditor also included. That means internal auditor's working papers are internal auditor's property. External auditor can only seek the reports. He can ask for the working papers. In such cases, can internal auditor give the working papers copy to the external auditors? Yes. Plus, with the consent of the client. Without the consent of the client, you are not supposed to give your working papers to anybody else. So anybody can ask you. A banker can ask you. Okay, they see that you are the statutory auditor of a company. So this client has taken some loan. Since you are banker and you work in the same building, the banker might have asked you, okay, see, can you give me some working papers of the loan? No, not permitted. Get the consent of the client to give this information to the bank. However, at his discretion, he may make portions or extract available to the client only. If anything else to be made available to the third party, permission of the client, permission is required. Yes, are you clear about clause number 1? Now, it is not possible to set out all the circumstances in disclosure will be required. It is not legally permissible to claim privilege under Indian Evidence Act also. However, such matters involve necessities of law and expert legal opinion has to be sought. That means, okay, what they are trying to tell you here, what is this Indian Evidence Act is telling? Suppose investigation happens to the client's premises for money laundering, and enforcement directorate calls you, come with your working papers. Now, you need to ask yourself, do I have any obligation to inform to the investigation authorities? I don't have any obligation. Is that Money Laundering Act has permitted me, like say, for example, section 142, subsection 12, like RBI guideline has told very clearly, like you have to disclose this fraud and you will not be bound by the confidentiality. Is that a Money Laundering Act is telling something like that? No, then in that case, you cannot expect me to tell anything. But see, this is the problem now, because here there may be some law which may be requiring me, I don't know, because I have not studied Money Laundering Act and other stuff which may be required. Okay, there can be Narcotic Drugs Act and your client is involved in the drugs, and Narcotic Drugs Act must be telling something about the evidence and all, I don't know. So what in such cases, whenever you have to go in front of authorities, investigative authority, take one legal advice, what you can talk, what you cannot talk. and they cannot force you. If you don't have any legal obligations to share the information about your client, you cannot be forced. Even though you have told, it will not be considered as an evidence in the court. Please know. Tomorrow you may tell something. Tomorrow that department will not be able to produce in front of the court if the client proves that this was confidential information and we have not permitted my client, my chartered accountant to disclose this information. You know what court will do? They will disregard this evidence. They say that under Indian Evidence Act, this will not be accepted. Okay, simple thing, students. I can tell something simple. Like this, even lawyers are bound by this. This is what they say, that not legal permissible to claim privilege under Indian Evidence Act. Like there is one murderer. He goes to his lawyer and he tells everything to the lawyer. Everything he tells, like how he murdered, what, everything, because he needs that help from the lawyer now. Okay, at least to get reduction in the, see, he cannot claim that this person is not guilty, but he will try to, the lawyer will try to see that, okay, if the punishment can be reduced with some arguments by providing some circumstantial benefits. Now, tomorrow, this person do not pay the fees to him. Now, can he go to the court and say, no, he only has admitted to me? No. Evidence by the lawyer, evidence by the police officer, these are all not permitted under Indian Evidence Act. And now, ulta, if you go and try to disclose anything, you will be guilty under the professional misconduct or under the Advocate Act or whatever, under law. Because you're not, because some information you got in the course of the dealing with the client, you have to keep it confidential. Did you see, students, how much importance they give? So, otherwise, there should be a very express consent by the court. Like, for example, section 143(12), they say that if the offense is involved, you have to report to the government. Then we will give you exemption from confidentiality. That's why you should be aware when you can disclose, when you cannot disclose. Okay, already we have seen confidentiality and we have seen the circumstances when it is required by law, when it is permitted by law with the client's permission, and when to defend yourself in the court of law. Like when somebody claims that you have not done the work properly, then you can bring with your working papers. In the court of law, you can present and show that, look, sir, I have done my job properly. So this is about your confidentiality. Chartered accountant was invited by the Chamber of Commerce to present a paper. During his presentation, he shared some of the vital information of the client's business, and he is thinking that he is helping the nation to compete better. What he should have done is, intention is very noble, because he is working on some, say for example, AI, and he is giving seminar. Now he really wants all the people who have attended seminar to get impressed, go back. See, he didn't talk about his personal achievement, benefits and all. His intention is very noble, that he really wants to bring that change in the society, remove that perception, misconception, etc. But he made one mistake. He showed the live data of the client to demonstrate something, like how AI is going to work. Now, what he should have done, he should have masked the name of the client. He should not have shown the name of the client. Or he should have created some dummy set of data. But showing that live data, which is very important, the client became very angry. He told, how dare you can show this information in the seminar? Okay, you may be thinking that you are doing national building and all, but our data, what was the need to show you? So now they must have filed a complaint. Under clause 1, you become guilty of professional misconduct, because without the permission of the client, you showed some information to the people. So clear, students? Then XYZ applied for a bank loan. Now the bank were studying for the financial statement, suddenly noticed that you are the auditor of the company and request you to call for inform bank for a discussion. They called you. First of all, you didn't had any obligation to go. If the client is applying the loan, and why the banker should call you and why you should go? Now you must have gone to see whether you can get some business from the banker. Maybe with that intention you must have gone. And to please that banker, you must have given some information about the client. The banks ask you information and ask for the detailed few of the items of the financial statement. Since you had all this information, you thought that, okay, you are actually helping the client to get the loan. or you are pleasing the banker so that you can get some other business, whatever should, you have disclosed the client's information without the permission of the client. That's why you will be guilty. However, if client has permitted to share you this, yes, you can give. In that case, no, not guilty. But you don't have any compulsion to share the information. And if at all you share, you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Now, SR Associates were the auditor, and due to dispute between the auditor of the company with respect to certain remarks by the auditor in the audit report, company removed the auditor now. Okay, why? Because of the qualified opinion issued by the, in shareholders meeting, comply with all the legal formalities. Now, what was the reason? Because of the, okay, is a new coming auditor can accept such engagement? First question. Was all the formalities of removal was done? Yes, perfect. Second, was his undisputed fees was paid? Yes. Did he issue qualified opinion? Yes. Yes, issued the qualified opinion. But now they said first two cases so you cannot accept. But third case you can accept if you feel that the remark was unjustified and company was right. So the question is very silent. So you can make an assumption that the remark was given was unjustified and company was right in its stand. Now SR Associates, after coming to know about the removal, intimated the ROC, highlighting the points of dispute and non-existence of the fixed assets, bogus creditors. Then they become very angry. Now they thought, okay, Baba, will you remove me for giving this opinion? I will teach you a lesson. So they told everything to ROC. Look, this type of bogus issues are happening. Bogus creditors are there. Now ABC also came to know, Baba, will you teach me a lesson? I will teach you another lesson. So ABC complained ICA because someone told that there is one clause number 1, part 1 of the first schedule, second schedule. Now what is your opinion? Will SR Associates are guilty of professional misconduct? Absolutely guilty. Who told them to tell all this to ROC? That bogus creditors are there and all. Will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Let us see some of the Q&As. I told you, friends, these are all small things. Biggest elements are clause number 6, 7, 11. If you study this thoroughly, you are done. Okay, any questions can come, but you see, maximum questions were revolving around those clauses. Now, Parekh invited by the Chamber of Commerce. Okay, we have already seen this. CA in practice was invited to deliver the seminar. One audience raised a particular issue. You enthusiastically explained the issue and elaborately showed how the client was facing the issue, and with the examples you showed from your device, how you solved it. And he displayed to the client, okay, for the sake of the clarity of the topic on the real life situation. Comment with regard to code of conduct. Yes, he is guilty of professional misconduct because he has a duty not to reveal the client's information without the consent or unless required by the law. Illustration, company appointed the bank loan. The on studying the, okay, this also we have seen. The bank called you and you went and told everything to the banker. Is guilty of professional misconduct. Dispute happened, you sent to ROC, bogus creditors, etc. No, this also we have seen. Yes, that's it. So a big clause, at least in clause number, in schedule number 2. Now, clause number 2. A CA in practice is guilty of professional misconduct if he certify or submit in his name or in the name of his firm. That means if he certify any report, see, if anybody else will sign, it will be part of schedule 1, but he only has signed it. Of financial statement report, unless the examination of such financial statement and related records was made by him, that means he didn't verify only. Client brought one financial statement and they only printed the audit report and brought, and the auditor signed it. Clearly guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, now you may ask me one question. Sir, what if the partner has verified? Yes, you can do it. And that's what they said, unless it has been, verification has been done by you or by your partner. You remember, students, one of the example, that partner in SA 220, partner died out of road accident. Next day morning, another Kumar went there, he signed it. Now, can you rely on the examination done by your partner? Yes, you can rely. But review is what you are supposed to do. Or can you rely on the working of the employees? Yes. Otherwise, I will not never appoint employees. No? Or by another chartered accountant in practice. Okay, this is another concept. You can outsource to another CA. Completely you can outsource to another CA. Yeah. This is one of the advantage you can enjoy, students. Suppose you are a CA in practice. You got some business. So if you refer it to another practicing CA, now he will give the report and who will sign it? That CA in practice will sign it. How much he will give you? 10% he will give you for referral bonus. Instead, you can have one more idea. You tell him whenever you get the client, you only talk to the client. You only talk to the client. You give this work to another CA in practice. Now, CA in practice will charge you cost. Maybe you can say 50% of this I will give you, but who will issue the report? You will issue, you will sign it. But your signature is based on another CA's work. Now, question comes, did you check this data? No, you didn't check it. But who checked it? Another CA in practice. Okay, can you rely? Yes. Are you clear, students? So this is another way to make money. Okay. Now, but without verifying, if you sign, if there is a report, you didn't verify at all, you signed it. No, you are guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 2. You verified it, problem done. Your partner verified it, problem done. Your employee verified it, partner, problem done. Another CA in practice verified it, problem done. But a commercial accountant verified it. No, not applicable. You cannot do it. And you cannot share the profits with the commercial accountant also. Here can you share 50% of this income? Yes. Why? Because already we have seen clause number 2. You can share with another CA in practice. I hope you are getting the connection. How they are interconnected. So, above clause restricts the member to report which is not examined by you or your partner or another chartered accountant in practice. Okay, so these are all theory issues. Okay, they taught about why this was important. Joint audit provision came because of this. And in case of joint audit, you need not review the work of joint auditors. So they are jointly and severally become responsible. Okay, all these things they told. There's nothing much here. Okay, you can just have a read. Okay, about this particular clause. Is there any questions on examination of the statement? Not there. Next, clause number 3. A CA in practice is deemed to be guilty if he permits his name or name of the firm to be used in connection with the estimate of earnings contingent upon the future transaction, prospective financial information in a manner that may lead to the belief that he has vouched for the accuracy. Now, one question came, can you participate and issue an assurance report? Yes, definitely. We can always issue the assurance report. Already we have seen that. Okay, so there, you remember, no, when we were talking about SAE, somewhere they have mentioned here. Okay, but we have already seen that you can always participate in projections, prospective financial information. But when you are issuing a prospective financial information, 3400, SAE 3400, you should not tell that those numbers are true and fair. Instead, the SAE 3400 says that you should talk about the assumptions are reasonable, this has been properly prepared as per the assumptions, arithmetical accuracy is fine. This is what you are supposed to tell. Ulta, if you tell that the numbers are true and fair, you will be guilty under clause number 3. See, again, all related to your work and opinion. First one, you have breached the confidentiality. Second thing, you didn't examine and you signed it. Third, prospective financial information, you said true and fair. No, not permitted. So, consider as the opinion that chartered accountant in practice can participate in the preparation of the forecast. Okay, if it is asked for you to prepare, then SRS becomes applicable. You can prepare, you can compile the financial information. Now, if you have been asked to review, SAE becomes applicable. Okay, I think you asked me one question in the past. So if it is the prospective financial statement is prepared by the practicing CA, SRS. If it is prepared, because he is himself compiling now, he himself preparing cash flow statement and is giving a report. Now SRS becomes applicable, no assurance. But if the client has prepared and they have come to the practicing CA for a report, like my banker is asking, then SAE, because you are giving an assurance report. But in that assurance report, you cannot express opinion that numbers are true and fair. You should only show from which source this information were there. What are your major assumptions? Is it reasonable? And you have to tell that you are not going to watch the accuracy of the forecast. What you can tell, arithmetical accuracy of the calculations and workings are based on the assumptions. Okay, so you can also apply to projections. The council has further opined that the same opinion would apply to the projections made on the basis of hypothetical assumptions. We remember, no? This is forecast for 1 or 3 years, 1 to 3 years, 5 to 10 years, hypothetical assumptions. Okay, it doesn't matter. When you talk about prospective financial information, it can be forecast, it can be projections. So both the places it is applicable, but you have to write only this in your report, not expressing opinion. So guidance note on the company's prospective information they have issued. Okay, leave it. A chartered accountant issued 97 projection statements without verifying the basic documents, and bank extended the loan. Afterwards, bank revealed that the person whom the respondent has issued financial statement did not have the business of. First of all, a CA issued 97 projection statement, and based on this, no, the bank gave the loan. Later, bank came to know that the borrowers who got a loan based on this projected statement have no business only. How much angry the bank manager must have become, because he completely trusted on your projection report, and this CA issued without verifying any basic document only. That means he must have simply signed it for money. And now entire 97 bank loans have become NPS. Do you think that bank will keep quiet now? They would have gone to ICA now. And this is very serious thing. ICA can remove your membership for life if this type of instances are seen. So they told that you are held guilty of professional misconduct under clause number 3. What is clause number 3? You permitted estimation of the earning to give accuracy. Clause number 7 and 8, that means you knew some misstatement, material misstatement, you did not qualify. So if they didn't have a business of source of repayment, you should have given a qualified opinion. Why you did not tell the qualified opinion? Why you didn't bring it as a notes? Why you didn't bring it to the notice? That's why there are two more clauses called 7 and 8. Part 1 of the second schedule. You will be guilty of professional misconduct. You see, done. What we are doing with the clauses. Is there any questions on the projection statement? No. There are no questions. Okay. Now this clause is a bit big. Express opinion on the financial statements. See, first of all, confidentiality. Second, no verification. Third, prospective financial information, you are telling it is going to happen. Now, fourth, you are expressing opinion on the financial statement. Have you maintained confidentiality? Absolutely yes. Have you thoroughly verified it? Perfect. Is it prospective? No. It is a historical financial statement. But the problem is, it is an enterprise in which he, his firm or partner has got interest. And please understand, students, we are talking about 1956 Act, Companies Act 2013 and all now. Okay, 1956 Companies Act and Chartered Accountant Act. This clause came in 1949. So at that time, there may not have been any clauses that you should, a CA auditor should not be holding shares in the company. In fact, for your information, the rotation, the 5-year rotation, which is happening mandatorily, for companies, it came only in 2013. Before that, in 1956, there was no concept of rotation. That means for 40-50 years, you could have been an auditor of one company from 40 years. Can you imagine the amount of familiarity threat you are sitting? So, in 1956, okay, in 1950s and all, there may not have been any provision where you should not have substantial interest. Means, even though you have, companies that would have permitted. to become an auditor, even though you are holding the shares of such company. Today, not permitted. That's why there was a need for a clause. Today, it is not possible only. If you or your partner has got any substantial interest in the business entity, like in a company, you are disqualified. A second question comes, can I audit my own business because I am a practicing CA? No, that's why you have got a substantial, because you can be a firm. In that firm, you have got a substantial interest. You cannot audit such firm. I hope you are clear. That's why you cannot audit any a business entity in which you or your partner has got substantial interest, because self-interest threats. Yes, now let us see the opinion. If the opinion of the auditors are to command respect and confidence, that they should be free of any interest. Okay, 1949 they said, auditor should not express any interest in which you have got substantial interest. That is, you cannot audit yourself. Substantial interest means having meaning assigned to clause number 9, that 20% voting power or the profits. This is called substantial interest. The word financial statement cover both the reports and certificate and would not apply to cases where statements are prepared by the members in employment purely for the information of their respective employers and not meant for submitting to the outside. That when we talk about financial statement, now one question came, sir, what about this financial statement which I prepared like a business finance controller in the company? I am the finance controller and I prepared this balance sheet and my employer asked me to sign this so that maker and checker authority will be there, and I sign this. Now one question comes, where this balance sheet will be used? It will be used for internal purpose. Will it be submitted to outside authority? No. You are a CA. So when you sign, you will tell chartered accountant, but you have signed for internal reference only. Now this is not applicable to you. Clause number 3 is not applicable. It is applicable only for practicing CAs who have got substantial interest in the business, not for your employees, members in employment. Now, members are expected to interpret the requirement more strictly than what the law requires and should not bring themselves into a situation where there is a conflict of interest. Because if the law is silent, don't misinterpret it and you think that you can take it. Where a chartered accountant appointed as a liquidator, can you take the position of a liquidator? Yes, deemed to be in practice. Regulation 190A, clause number 9 has permitted you. He should not be chartered accountant himself. Now, did there anybody told that if you are appointed as a liquidator, you see, remember student, you can receive the fees based on percentage of money. Now, can you be the chartered accountant of that closing company, that liquidating company? The audit statement to be filed under section 348 of the Companies Act, audit circumstances would be chartered accountant other than the one who is the liquidator of the company. Now, your Companies Act may be very silent. Companies Act told who should not be the chartered accountant for the company, but do you see that, have they told that you should not be, they must have told, okay, you should not be having the security, your members should not be having any interest, your director should not be relative, okay, your employee should not be in the director's position. These are all the things. You should not have given guarantee or security. These are all the things you must have come across. Have you come across anywhere liquidator? No. But by accepting such position, you are bringing conflict of interest. So do not accept such things. You have to make strict interpretation of the law. Now, certification by a CA in employment. Now, I am a CA in practice. Now, can I give certain certificates for my employer's purpose? Council has decided not to permit accountant in employment to certify anything in which he is employed or a concern under the same management, though they may hold the certificate of practice. That's why I told you, when you are in full-time employment, your COP has become dormant. You cannot sign. However, this restriction will not apply to accept auditorship of a college if he is working as a part-time lecturer. Okay, now can you be the part-time lecturer of a college? Yes, with the permission of the council. Can you be the auditor of that college? Yes, you should not by himself. The restriction would not, however, apply where the certification is permitted by the law. The council has also decided that you should not by himself or his firm accept the auditorship of a college. That means when you become a part-time lecturer, yeah, you are like a consultant. You come only when there is a classes. You are a part-time lecturer. You are not a full-time employee. Full-time employee means you cannot sign. You will never be able to sign. Your COP has become dormant. This is what I told you. But if you are a part-time employee, like you are a consultant, you are a specialist only to teach one particular subject, such audit of the college you should not take. Who told you? I say councillor will decide it. Now, can you accept the auditorship of a trust where the partner or employee is the trustee of the trust? No, because we feel that these are all the places you have got a conflict of interest. So they can ask you questions based on this single line. In that case, you should start with this para, clause number 4. Then you should say council has decided so and so that in the given case, since he is a part-time lecturer, he cannot accept the auditorship of a college. In the given case, he is the trustee himself, or his partner is the trustee, or his employee is the trustee, he cannot accept. But if his partner is the part-time employee, if his employee is the part-time lecturer, if partner is the part-time lecturer, no, that is not applicable. He should not be a part-time lecturer. But if he is a partner with someone, it can go like this. You may ask her, what if his partner is the part-time lecturer there? Can I accept? Will you not accept in the name of the firm? But when you talk about the name of firm, he is already a part-time employee. Then he cannot accept. But can you accept in your personal capacity? Yes. Understood, no? This catch? Okay, I'll give a small interpretation because they can ask you questions like this. You two are the partners. Plus, you are separately practicing. You have got one more COP now. This is your personal practice. This is your professional practice. Now, you go to one college. Okay, you go here. Now, tell me, can you, as a part-time lecturer, can you accept the audit in your personal capacity? No. Can you accept the audit in your firm's name? No. Because you are the auditor of the part-time lecturer. Okay, now one question comes, what if my partner is the part-time lecturer there? So can you accept the auditorship of this college as a firm? No. But in your personal capacity, can you accept? Yes. Not for the firm as a whole. Because my partner is a lecturer, not me. Okay, he is getting money, not me. And my firm is not getting money. So he is nowhere connected to me now. So I am independent to express my opinion. Are you clear? Now, auditorship of a trust, where his partner is either an employee or a trustee of the trust. So instead of a college, I will say trust. First of all, if you are a trustee, you are an employee, so you cannot become. They need not tell you. But if your partner is the partner, is an employee or trustee of the trust, then you cannot accept auditorship in your firm name. In your personal capacity, you can always accept. So, council has given the below guidelines, requirement of clause applicable to attest function. Many new areas of professional work has been added, like tax audit, GST audit, concurrent banks, because these were not existing. Audit of non-corporate borrowers, banks or financial, stock audit, stock exchange audit, etc. So therefore, the requirement of clause number 4 is equally applicable for all type of attest functions. That means employees cannot certify any of their employers' audit. Are you clear? So you can never certify it. Now, substantial interest situation. Okay, so I have reduced the font size. Okay, we can ignore this. Where some situations can arise where a member of his firm partner relative has got substantial interest. Therefore, council has given some view with regard to the substantial interest. An enterprise concern in which a member is either owner or a partner, okay, you should not audit. That means you are the owner of your business or you are a partner in this particular partnership firm. This firm cannot be like EY, cannot audit its own financial statement. So EY's financial statement should be audited by somebody else. Okay, where a partner or relative of a partner has got a substantial interest. You don't have. In the first case, member is owner or a partner. In the second case, the partner or the relative of the member has got substantial interest. Therefore, in such case, members may desist from undertaking such audits. Like for example, in the previous case, to explain you, I was trying to tell here. In this case, can you accept? Yes, I told we can accept. But since your partner may have a substantial interest, you may desist from accepting. But if you want, you can accept it. That all goes with what type of relationship you have got between. Can he influence you? If he cannot influence, you can accept. But if you feel that he can influence my work because he is a partner, tomorrow he can tell that, look, Baba, we will dissolve this firm. If you want to maintain a good relationship, you give this type of opinion and all. So if I feel that this type of situation can come and we are like good friends and our friendship will be into stake because of this type of issue, so you may tell, I will not accept that trust audit, or I will not accept that college audit, because your partner or a relative has got substantial interest. Are you clear? Now, where a member or his partner or relative, member himself, partner or relative is a director. Chalo, first of all, under section 141, you are disqualified. You cannot be the director also, and already we have seen previously, subsidiary parent. You cannot, if you are an auditor, you cannot be the director of the parent. That also we have seen in clause number 11. Where a member or his partner or relative is a director, or in the employment or an officer, member is holding the position of a director, section 141(3)(b) disqualifies. Member is a director simpliciter. In case of a member who is a director simpliciter in a company, council has prohibited from auditing such accounts. Okay, that means you cannot be the independent director also, you cannot be the auditor also. Neither of the parent and nor that combination of parent and subsidiary. Nothing. Don't bring. If you are a director, don't be the auditor of that company. Simple. Whether or not you hold the substantial interest. In case the member seeks specific permission from the council to become the whole time or managing director, then COP is going to become dormant. You cannot sign. On grant of such permission, you are not entitled to engage in attest functions. That means you can be the director, but you will not be getting authority to sign the financial statement. Where member is not holding the position in the company, but holding security or interest, still your Companies Act will disqualify you. Where partner or officer of the partner of the member is an officer of the employee, section 141(3)(c) disqualifies you. Okay, all this coming from the law, you have already studied. Where the partner or the member holding any security, you remember students, for a member, if you for a relative, there is an exemption, but for a partner is holding the security, section 141(3)(di) is going to disqualify. Where a relative is a director or in employment acts as a director, again that is also going to disqualify. Your relative also cannot be a director. Where relative is holding security, and you remember, up to face value there is an exemption of 1 lakh rupees. Relatives can hold the securities whose face value not exceeding 1 lakh rupees. This exemption is available, but not available for the member. Member though cannot hold, partner cannot hold. Member cannot become director, partner or relative also cannot become director. Partner cannot hold any shares, but a relative can hold shares up to rupees 1 lakh face value. Now, it is not permissible to undertake any as a certification where client is a relative as per accounting standard 18. Like your father-in-law, can you do the work of your father-in-law? Can you do the work of your brother, business of your brother? No. If your brother is falling under accounting standard 18 relative, or your father-in-law is falling under that, okay, your parent is running some business, no, you cannot do any certification work. An accountant is expected no less independent in discharge of duties as a tax consultant or financial advisor than the auditor. Unless this is done, accounts, okay, accountant is expected to be no less independent. If you are tax consultant also, it is advisable that you should be independent. Members not to write the books of the client. That means anyhow, in section 144, they have told very clearly that if you are the one who have written the books, you are not appointed as an auditor. But what about the partnership firm, sole trading concern? Okay, ICS brought with the council guideline that you cannot write the books of the firm. Statutory auditor cannot be the internal auditor of the company simultaneously. Both may be practicing CS. Okay, this you cannot accept internal audit also, because internal auditor has got no independence. Internal auditor cannot be the tax auditor, because tax auditor should be independent. Internal auditor cannot be independent. So you cannot be the statutory auditor or internal auditor together, internal auditor, tax auditor together. But can you become tax auditor and statutory auditor together? Yes. You can be tax plus stat audit, but not internal audit. Who told you? Council guideline. Under what clause? Under substantial interest, holding substantial. See, and this is one big clause. These are all the places where you are having some sort of interest now. Maybe you are into part-time teaching there, or your relatives must be a trustees. You may be holding some shares. Okay, so these are all the different cases, or you must have written some books of account. You must be an internal auditor. Now, can you be the GST auditor? No, because GST auditor is the independent position. Now, what is the cooling off period after completion of the tenure? That means if you have been retiring as a director, members shall not accept the audit of a company after the period of 2 years, till the period of 2 years from the completion of tenure of a director. That means if you have resigned as a director, you cannot be, because familiarity threat will be there. Next 2 years, you have to take a break. Third year, you can come as a statutory auditor. Because you being a director, you may not have any shares of the company, but you are very much familiar. So there is a cooling period of 2 years. Members, to satisfy whether the appointment is as per the statute, you have to see whether the appointment has been done according to the statute governing the entity. In case of appointment is to be authorized by the regulatory authorities like RBI, see that your appointment has been authorized by the regulatory authorities. Entities managed by the managing committee, trustee or board of governors, appointment should be authorized by the resolution of the managing committee. In case of partnership firm or a sole proprietor concern, ensure that engagement is given by the firm and the sole proprietor. And you see, students, 18 points are there. Section 288 of the Companies Act, Income Tax Act, describes the disqualification for the purpose of tax audit. Okay, so these are all the points related to your substantial interest. Let us see some of the questions. A practicing CA is appointed as a director simpliciter. Can he do? Yes. Clause number 11. After 3 years of his appointment, he resigned. He can resign anytime and accepted statutory audit immediately. No. A practicing CA was appointed as a director simpliciter on 1/1/2020, and after serving 18 months, he resigned and accepted on 1st October 2020. So when he resigned, when he was appointed on 1st October, 18 months he served. That means 21. Okay, somewhere immediately after resignation he started. No, in both the cases he is wrong, because 2 years cooling period is required. That means if he has resigned on, say, for example, 30th September 2021, so till 30th September 2023, that 2 years he should not be the auditor. That means he can be the auditor only for 2024-25 or any other attestation functions, not just audit. All the attestation functions where expression of opinion has to be given, 2 years should have crossed before his appointment. But you see how they fooled you in the examination question. After 3 years of his appointment, he resigned, it seems. After his appointment, after his resignation, after 3 years of resignation, he appointed. No. He was appointed as a director and 3 years he was a director. No, who told that? How many years? That doesn't matter. But the moment you resign, from there 2 years has to go. Then only you can be appointed. So like this, they will fool you in the exam questions. A firm was appointed to evaluate the cost of new product and fixation of the price. Can they do it? Yes. 28 type of management consultancy services, this will also fall. Partner P is the non-executive director of the company. Okay. Evaluation of cost is not an attest function. He is not guilty. He can accept it because this is applicable only for attestation related work. So he has accepted some non-attestation work. So that's okay. Non-executive director. You can be a director plus non-attestation you can do, but director plus attestation should not be done. But attestation requires complete independence. And you see, fixation of the price. Can you charge percentage of profits? Yes. The idea is very simple. It is not attestation related work. They have started practice in Punjab, issued turnover certificate of Asus traders for the purpose of availing bank loan. Brother of Dev was the proprietor. Not permissible because turnover certificate required is an attestation function. And when you are doing attestation function, you should not be doing it for your relative. And brother is relative as per accounting standard 18. Not permitted. So you understood, students, how they will ask you exam questions. So in our list, 6 is there, 7 is there, 11 is there, plus clause number 4 comes into picture. Did you add your clause number 4 also? Because there were 18 points, and anything they can ask you, that this was a director, he appointed here, this he gave non-attestation function, but he appointed as a director, he was holding shares in the company. See, any permutation combination they can ask you. So you just remember that it's 18 points. Okay, what IC is telling. Within this you can answer. Yeah, our Q&A discussion would have brought more clarity, I believe. You understood things better. Okay, let us see the Q&As here. Practicing CA was appointed director simpliciter. Okay, already we have seen. Accepted statutory auditor? No. Okay, there is only one question in your test your knowledge, friends. Then from where all these questions came? All these questions have come from your previous syllabus, old syllabus. Okay, so reading all these old syllabus questions will give you better understanding. Only instead of only one question. Yes. I think, yes, we are done. So our next is your clause number 5. Yes, we will take in the next session.